like, comment, and subscribe for more content.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to this edition of a Funko Popcast. I'm DK Wrestler.
And I'm Robbie D from Funko Pop Monthly.
Yes, you heard that right. MD Shady is not going to be on this week's episode or any of the episodes for the next 2 to 3 weeks. We'll just get kind of right into why. MD, unfortunately, due to being in the United States a couple weeks ago, Canada just implemented a new rule where if you've been outside of the country within the last 14 days, you have to be under self-quarantine for 14 days. So MD unfortunately cannot leave his house and he can't even go to work, or either way. He works in the restaurant industry, so all restaurants have also been closed this past week due to the whole COVID-19 situation. So Robbie and I would like to wish MD, his mom, Jerry, his 4 cats, and the guinea pig that is annoying a lot of times but sometimes makes me laugh, a very safe and healthy time for their time of need. We're thinking about you, MD. So that leads into our first segment, which is a new segment I'm probably going to do until this whole thing of COVID-19 blows over, called Coronaviral News. So basically, in this segment, we're going to talk about everything news-wise related to coronavirus, which if you don't want to listen to this segment and you just want to skip through to anything Funko-related, we do have a timestamp in the description below that tells you exactly when each segment starts. So if you want to go to the next segment, which will be talking about Virtual Con from last week, click that if you want. But if you want to hear us talk about COVID-19, then stay on this segment. So it's weird that this all coincidentally started with Emerald City Comic Con getting postponed.
Yeah.
Like, it literally the Friday before, March 6th, Emerald City Comic Con had announced that they'd be postponing due to COVID-19. And at this time, COVID-19 was starting to kind of get big, but it wasn't really at the same time. But then, literally, I think it was after we had recorded last week's podcast, that's when we started getting a lot of announcements. So I've marked down most of kind of the news that's been going on throughout the past week. So Wednesday, March 11th was when it was announced that NBA would suspend their season due to COVID-19, and that WonderCon has been postponed. Originally, WonderCon in Anaheim, California was supposed to take place April 10th to April 12th. But also for any of the Funko fans, they would have known already and probably would have seen the announcements that Funko is doing Virtual Con Part 2 with WonderCon, and that happens April 10th, and announcements are being announced as we speak. We're filming this on a Thursday, so the only announcement we know so far is the Miguel with guitar from Coco and the Cheshire Cat Pop Rides from Alice in Wonderland. So we don't know anything at this moment until we stop this podcast and look over to see what we missed. Anyways, Thursday, March 12th, the first thing that was really announced was that Tom Hanks diagnosed with COVID-19 along with his wife Rita Wilson, and then NCAA announced that they would be canceling all their games throughout the academic season. NHL announces that they are suspending their season. Canadian Prime Minister, which would be our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau's wife was diagnosed with COVID-19, and various WWE live events, including one that actually Robbie was supposed to go to in Toronto last Saturday, got canceled due to COVID-19. And also it was announced that SmackDown, originally scheduled for, I think it was Detroit, Michigan,
yep,
would be canceled, and that they would host SmackDown in the Performance Center. That was announced. Then Friday, March the 13th, Emerald City Comic Con actually announced that they actually have their dates set for their postponed dates for August 21st to August 23rd. That's when Emerald City Comic Con will happen. Unknown of whether Funko will still set up a booth there. They probably will. And also, Toronto Comic Con was canceled for actually this upcoming weekend. It actually would have started today as we recorded this, or it would have been tomorrow, I think. But if you purchased tickets to Toronto Comic Con, they have said that they would be able to kind of upgrade you to a super ticket so that you can go to Fan Expo in August in Toronto. Fan Expo Dallas announced that their convention at the end of the month would be postponed until June 19th to the 21st due to COVID-19. And it was also announced that Monday Night Raw, hosted by WWE, would also be live at the Performance Center, just like SmackDown was. Then over the weekend for Saturday, March the 14th to Sunday, March the 15th, that's when basically they have announced that schools would technically be on hold, at least for public and secondary schools. Not only would they have their March break, which is currently this week, but they're also getting an extra 2 weeks off due to COVID-19. But post-secondary schools for universities and colleges have basically been canceled. Some classes, though, I think are like online at this time, but then there's some classes that are just completely canceled. Then Monday, March the 16th, that's when Justin Trudeau had announced that Canada would be closing its borders with the US, and the only way that you can go into the border is if you really need some like actual essential needs like food and stuff. So if I were to somehow go to the border and tell them I'm going to get a Funko Pop exclusive, they would not let me across the border.
No.
So, yeah, that happened actually on Wednesday. And then also, all bars and restaurants have been closed. Besides, if you want a takeout or delivery, that's the only thing they'll be doing. You can't sit in the restaurant. That's anything from an actual, like, small independent business to a fast food chain. And that day, they announced that WWE's biggest event of the year, WrestleMania, will be happening at the Performance Center. That's right. The first time ever in WWE history where WrestleMania will have an attendance record of 0. Lowest in history, and who knows how long this will last. It may be the same attendance record next year. Then Tuesday, March 17th, Doug Ford announces that Ontario declares a state of emergency, which also includes that any events that are over 50 people will be canceled. And he also announced that Ontario would be getting $300 million to go towards COVID-19 relief and help out people who may need the services needed for that. They have announced that gyms would be closed indefinitely until I think the end of the month, or it's like the beginning of April, something like that. Various retailers like Toys R Us, Hot Topic, and Box Lunch have announced that they'd be closed until March 30th due to COVID-19. The last news that we have is Wednesday, March 18th, which was yesterday, that our Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau had announced that he'd be spending $82 billion to help the Canadian economy towards this whole deal. Whether it's people who need the money because they're laid off from work, or basically who needs it because they're diagnosed with COVID-19 and everything. Yeah, that's basically all I gotta say. I know I've missed a couple probably. Like, I know, wasn't Kevin Durant diagnosed with?
Kevin Durant, yes, was diagnosed. Former Golden State Warriors player, current Brooklyn Nets player, diagnosed with COVID-19. That sucks. Speaking of people getting either laid off work or whatnot, I obviously got laid off work as well, so now I'm currently at home and need to apply for EI, which is employment insurance, to hopefully get some funds to help out with me being laid off, obviously, so...
Yeah, so anyone who is currently laid off from work, we wish you well, and we hope that you're accepted for EI and that you get the help that you need, including Robbie over here, so... All right, so now the next thing we're going to talk about, we're going to get out of this whole coronavirus situation because we don't want to talk the whole time about coronavirus. We're going to talk about last week's Virtual Con, which I don't know if you've seen anything related to what they had done for Virtual Con, so to speak.
No, I don't think I have, to be honest. I've been on Instagram and Facebook and seen a few things here or there, but not really anything Virtual Con related, so...
Alright, I'll kind of discuss it because I've watched a bunch of the stuff they did. So like Wednesday especially, I think they did the tour for Funko HQ that day. They had announced that anyone who won the Funko lottery for Emerald City Comic Con, they would have gotten the first chance to purchase some Emerald City Comic Con pops the next day on Thursday. So anyone who got accepted, which one of those names was Top Pops, who was able to do that, ended up spending, I think it was close to $650 US. And it just so happens I actually messaged him after he had posted about that. I'm like, holy bleep. And I actually wrote the word bleep and said, that's got to be close to 1K Canadian. He's like, it was $850. So he actually was straight up saying like it was $850. And then I said, did you get Indy as an Indiana Jones lieutenant? And she's like, yeah, I did. I'm like,
nice.
Cool. So he is going to be one of 2,000 people in the world who essentially could have a full 10-inch collection. because that's the first ever time that a 10-inch pop has been that rare where it's a limited amount of pieces and it's going to be super expensive. I've already seen listings for like 500 Canadian going on eBay, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
eBay, and they're flipping, and it's just like, God. But Thursday was interesting. They had a bunch of their like artists do like live, I guess, pictures. Like they would just draw out basically what people would request. So like you could do like a random combo. So like if I look at my like Funko Pop wall right now, and let's say you requested Perfect Cell mixed with Forky, right? And then they just say like, all right, let's do that. So they just do up the best of their ability on that, and then whoever pitched that would actually get that photo from them sent to them. But I know one of them off the top of my mind they did was Freddy Funko as Superman. There was a mix of like Dragon Ball Z and another anime, I'm pretty sure. I can't exactly remember off the top of my head, but it was a fun time watching. It was a long time, but like I was like, this is cool. Other than that, then Friday, of course, I kind of figured. I actually tried to go in the Funko shop and see like, maybe they'll actually ship out to Canada once. But nope, they're still the same thing. They won't ship out to Canada even for virtual con. But then for that day, you would have seen on Monday's video, I went on a Funko Pop hunt for Emerald City Comic Con pops. I got a couple of them. You know, there's a lot of the ones I wanted I couldn't get access to because they were in the States. Like, yeah, we have Walmart in Canada, and that's where I would have gotten Dwight Schrute as Recyclops and Flock Charmander. But it's usually Walmart in the States that gets it, and Walmart Canada has actually, I'm pretty sure, stopped selling Funko Pops after they've done this huge clearance, so there will be no more Funko Pops there. But there's just quite a bit. I don't know, did you get the chance to go get some Funko Pops?
I did not.
Which Funko Pops would have you gotten if the scenario was that you had all these stores come to Canada and you're able to get it?
Definitely Dwight Schrute as Recyclops would be one of them for sure. Flock Charmander, because I'm trying to collect all the Pokemon Pops. Trying to think of what else I might have wanted. Millhouse for sure. Just remembering that now from The Simpsons. Trying to remember some other ones that were announced for Emerald City Comic Con. None that really comes to mind besides the ones that I just listed,
So now I'm looking back through the YouTube channel, and I actually wanted to bring up a comment that someone had posted, and I said it was such a great question that I was like, stay tuned for Friday for the podcast to listen to this answer. So hopefully I get this name right. If I botch your name, I'm sorry. I am the worst when it comes to names. From Elijah Obregon on YouTube, he had asked this question, and I bet MD would definitely have an answer for this one. And I kind of have an answer. You might have. So the question he wrote is, from this year, which Emerald City Comic Con pop do you think would be worth the most in the future other than Indiana Jones and the Loch Ness Monster?
That is a good question.
Which, that does make sense to eliminate Indiana Jones and Loch Ness Monster because those are clearly going to be the two of the most because they were limited amount of pieces.
Yeah. Maybe some of the pops like the green-haired troll, possibly. Any of the Star Wars pops like the black and red future Boba Fett, because I know there's a lot of Star Wars fans out there. I wouldn't say Dungeons and Dragons, the gelatinous cube, or the Dragon Ball Z pops that were announced. Millhouse, maybe. Great Gazoo, of course. That's definitely another one. And I think that... the Freddy Funko and Funko HQ Pop Town, possibly. Pez Boy. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, I think as terms to worth the most, I don't know. I think Gelatinous Cube would be up there because surprisingly, Gelatinous Cube actually, when people probably thought it was going to be a shelf sitter of Emerald City Comic Con, it was actually the first pop to sell out at EB Games and GameStop. And the actual shelf sitter right now, as far as I remember, is Thanos, which I thought was going to be the one that sold the most out of the three that went to EB Games, GameStop. It's definitely a potential candidate of like being worth the most in the future, but I'm going to go with the safe bet. And that the one that's going to be worth the most in the future, in my opinion, besides the obvious 2,000 piece and 1,500 piece pops, would probably have to be the Target shared black and red Future of Boba Fett. Reason that being is that they're kind of more expensive as it is, especially because you got the cool like black box that goes around. And I think all of them, just to give it a nice feel to them, they all come in hard stacks because it's made by an artist and they want to make it feel special. So already, I think that's definitely, at least right now, that's going to be worth the most. So thank you to Elijah for sending in that question through our YouTube video. That was a cool question to ask. All right, so now we are going to go to this week's Funko Pop announcements. So the first four that you will see on your screen at this moment, starting off, is one that MD definitely would love to talk about, and that is the Amazon exclusive Battle at Echo Base Pop Deluxe of Wampa for the Star Wars 40th anniversary for Empire Strikes Back set, in which that is expected to be released as early as May 2020. Then it was announced on Marvel's website that there would be 2 Disney Park exclusives of Spider-Man with Spider-Bot and Iron Man with the Mark 80 suit. There is no release date yet, but I am going to assume that these will be there when Avengers Campus opens up at Disneyland, which is expected to open up July, if I'm not mistaken. So expect at least July 2020 to be when these get released. Then we got ourselves for the Pop Rocks lineup. We have Shawn Mendes, in which that is expected to be released according to Entertainment Earth as early as this month, but I have seen some posts that have said June and May, so between March and June, that's when you'll see him be released as early as. And then for this section, announced on the Funko Funcast that they did live for Virtual Con, I also forgot to mention they did that too, that they have announced the third of 6 Avengers Assembles Pop Deluxes that will be going to Amazon, and this is Hawkeye. Judging by how they've been releasing the other 2, with Iron Man being released in January but announced in November, and then Hulk being announced in January but released in March, and now this releases in March, I think it's going to be released as early as May, just because it's a bi-monthly thing of how this works. So that's my guess. There's no link up yet, but I'm going to assume May 2020, that's when this is going to be released. The Wampa Pop Deluxe looks freaking amazing. Oh my god. Like, this looks 10 times better than the original Wampa that they made, like, in 2015. And that was still a great 6-inch pop that they did. I love how they incorporated a base with this, with the environment. And he's kind of got, like, the one hand out, which is awesome. He's got a bone. It's got amazingly detailed with not only the fur, but with the teeth. It's got like the eye detail and the horn detail. Just, it's so detailed. And the one thing involving with this is that they are doing the exact same thing with this pop that they're doing with the Avengers Assemble, is that there's going to be 5 more pops, and they're going to connect bases to recreate the Battle at Echo Base, which is why it's called that. I can't wait to see the rest. I have seen the back on Amazon. They've shown the back and kind of like the silhouettes of what everything is. And I think one of them is going to be a Darth Vader with a snowtrooper. I'm hoping that one of them, and one of them kind of looks like it, is when Luke Skywalker like cuts open the belly of the Tauntaun and just like hides inside of it for warmth. I'm hoping that's one. MD would definitely wish that's one too, because we discussed that I think a few weeks ago actually. But overall, this is absolutely amazing. Then we got the Spider-Man and Iron Man, which you can't really see the Iron Man all that much because the way that whoever took this photo wanted the focus on Spider-Man, but clearly Iron Man looks pretty good from what I'm looking at. But Spider-Man with the bot looks really cool. I love how he's kind of had the spider web kind of like tied against his hand while he has the spider bot, so it's like, whew, whips it right out. Shawn Mendes, I could really care less about his music and all that, but I will admit that I kind of popped huge when this got announced. I was like, what the heck, Shawn Mendes? But yeah, there's actually quite a bit of detail for such a simplistic human pop, especially kind of like the effect on the guitar where the paint is kind of worn off. And then even the tattoo on his arm where it's just the guitar, like that's got to be a lot of detail to put in just for that kind of a tattoo. And I hope to kind of see how that turns out in real life, if like the paint job is a little botched from that. But then he's got the pick in his hand, which is also cool. And then I already know basically all guitars when it comes to Funko Pops that the paint job is going to be a little whacked on it. Like it's not going to be as neat as this glam shot has it. Then we got Hawkeye, the Pop Deluxe variant. Compared to the Hulk and the Iron Man that they've announced, this is kind of lackluster in my opinion, and I think Hawkeye is really a lackluster character in my opinion as it is, especially because the other 3, if I'm not mistaken, that will be for the set will be Thor, Captain America, and Black Widow. They got more detail, and then especially Black Widow being played by Scarlett Johansson. Like, whew, you can't say no to Scarlett Johansson. But anyways, but the only thing that's really detailed about this whole Pop Deluxe is the ground itself, because you actually see some pipes that are underground, and that like there's like a fire patch right beside him. But other than that, like the character itself is not really detailed. We've probably even seen better Hawkeye pops.
Yeah, so Hawkeye, again, you pretty much nailed it, with the only big thing being like the pipes with the ground and everything. That's the most detailed part of it, I would say, as well. Again, lackluster. I agree there as well. With Shawn Mendes, I do listen to his music. His music's alright, but this pop, I really did not know how to feel about it. I don't know. Yeah, they have the tattoo of the guitar on his one arm, and then I think that's a tattoo of a butterfly on his other arm, with the one where he's holding the
Neck of the guitar.
The neck of the guitar, yes. They have the pick in his hand, like you said. This looks, I'm gonna say alright, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of this one. Moving on to the Spider-Man and Iron Man. I do like the Spider-Man and the fact that, of course, you get kind of a 2-for-1 in a way with the Spider-Bot. I think that's pretty good. Iron Man looks pretty great as well from what I can see, of course. Like Dylan said, the focus was mainly on Spider-Man, it looks like. I like this. I do like this. Will it be one that I pick up? Maybe. And then moving on to the Wampa, I do like this one. I'm not a big fan of Star Wars. I haven't watched any of the movies, but I do like this one, and how creative Funko made this, especially with the bone in the one hand. It's pretty cool.
Alright, so now moving on, we're going to talk about the last set of Funko Pops for the week. We will not be talking about WonderCon exclusive pops this episode, but I will mention that next week's episode is a pretty jam-packed episode. But starting off, Hot Topic had announced on their website and are accepting pre-orders now for a pop rides of Jiraiya on Toad from the Naruto series. Like I said, Hot Topic exclusive, available for pre-order now, but will not be shipping out until, I think, mid to late April 2020. Then, originally announced on the Funko Funcast, but it was re-announced and released on March 17th, which actually was Robbie's birthday, actually. So happy belated birthday to you.
Thank you.
March 17th at 11 a.m. PST, 2 p.m. EST. The next pop in the Around the World set, we have Finley, which to me, as I'm looking at it, is, I think, a fox in an Irish outfit. Or I should say a fox as a leprechaun, essentially. Then the next day, which was actually now yesterday as we record this, March 18th at 11 a.m. PST, 2 p.m. EST, 2 Adam Sandler Funko Pops were announced, which the first one from Happy Gilmore, it's Happy Gilmore himself with the hockey stick that he's using as the golf club. And then from Billy Madison, we have Billy Madison with the kind of like white sweater, and I can't exactly remember off the top of my head which scene this was from. And then last but not least, the TV show Schitt's Creek, in which we have 5 different Funko Pops for this set. So starting off, we have Moira, Johnny Rose, 2 versions of David, which one of them is going to be a 1-in-6 chase. And then we have Alexis Rose. So starting off with the Naruto Pop rides, this is alright. I mean, I like the detail involving with the frog, or the toad, whatever it is. Jiraiya, or however you pronounce this, very detailed itself. A lot of anime pops are very detailed, and this is one of those pops that are very detailed. I don't know what he's wearing on his shoes. It's almost like it's a sandal, but it's not your typical sandal. It's got like almost these weird pegs on the bottom of it. I don't know, it just seems weird, but it's still very detailed. This is detailed, and I'm sure there's quite a bit of anime fans, especially if you're a Naruto fan. If you're going to purchase this, go purchase it now. Then we got Finley for the Around the World set. This is alright. So far for the Around the World set, we had Barkingham for the UK. And then we had Tula from Brazil. And I'm trying to think of exactly a ranking of how from good to bad this would be. Like whether it's like the best one they've done so far or the worst one they've done so far or in between. I'm thinking for detail-wise, I would say either in between or the worst one. But other than that, this is still a pretty great pop itself. I can't wait until Douglas gets announced, which for those that forgot, Douglas is one for Canada that they're making, and it's a beaver dressed up as a Mountie. So hopefully at that time, maybe the borders will be finally open by the time it gets released and that I'm able to get my passport, because I definitely want that one. And that's the only one I plan on getting. And yes, I'm being a little biased because I'm from Canada. So the Happy Gilmore pop, I am ecstatic with this pop, because with the original Happy Gilmore pop in the Boston Bruins jersey, I wanted them to have the hockey stick as his golf club, but we got a normal golf club instead. But now we have this one, which I'm pretty sure this is the exact attire from the final scene of the movie where he's in like the finals of like the golf tournament. Except the only thing that they don't have because of licensor issue is that at this point Happy Gilmore is sponsored by Subway, so they don't have the Subway logo on the white shirt that he's got there. But other than that, still really cool. And the moment that I get a P.O. box and a passport to the States, I definitely will pick this one up. Then the Billy Madison pop, like I said earlier, I can picture the character with what he looks like. Like I remember him looking like that, but I can't remember the scene that this was involved with. But in typical Billy Madison form, this looks great. I love how they have basically what looks to be his like work shoes, where it looks like he doesn't have laces in them because the little like tongues are hanging out. Then Schitt's Creek. I have been waiting for these for quite a bit now. I even did this for, I think, the top 10 predictions for New York Toy Fair reveals video. Hopefully I remember one of those suggestion thingies above. Starting off with Moira. So Moira, very detailed with the attire as Moira should be. I'm curious if they're going to make more Moiras in the future, because practically every episode you see her wearing like a different wig. So you might see her with like different color hair in different pops in the future. But Johnny though, which for those that may be new to Schitt's Creek, Johnny is played by Eugene Levy, who played Noah Levinstein in American Pie, in which, thank you Funko for being spot on with those damn eyebrows. Like, yes! That was the one thing I was worried about this pop, is that they weren't putting those bushy eyebrows on this pop, and they did. And it is awesome. And I love even the way that they did the hair too. Just the face alone screams Eugene Levy, and I can't wait for the day they make American Pie pops, because that's going to be crazy when that set hits up. The David pops. Now, when I heard about there was going to be a chase and it was all rumored, I was worried about this chase because, like I said in that top 10 video, I had said with David and his chase, the chase could be one of two things. It could be a pretty good chase, or it's going to be a terrible chase. And with this pop, it ended up being a good chase. I'll say that. It ended up being a really good chase for the simple fact that you got a different pose, because David's holding I think it's a rake or something. I remember this was, I think, the beginning of season 2 that this exact David happened. And then, yeah, he's wearing sunglasses, and he's wearing kind of like the designer clothing attire, which basically makes it a different head sculpt, because the head sculpt of the common is just his normal head with like his stylish hair, which that's cool. I like the way that these turned out. Alexis looks freaking fantastic, actually. Looks exactly like the actress. They pulled off the hair really good. The hat's nice. The attire's cool too. And just everything, it just screams out Alexis. Especially she's got her phone, because she's always on her phone. I think I'm definitely going to pick up Johnny and Alexis for sure, because those are my two favorites. But I will order a couple of Davids in hopes that I get the chase. And then if I do get the chase, then I will fully commit to getting the whole set.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that makes sense for sure. So yeah, I was wondering what was in Alexis's hand. That's the phone. Yeah, Alexis does look pretty great in detail, that's for sure. I haven't watched Schitt's Creek, obviously, so I might start watching this. I do have a lot of shows on the go right now, so it is pretty difficult, but this might be one that I might commit to watching. David looks really great, especially with the chase, that's for sure. Even the shoes are, as little details as possible, black and white, like, it's pretty cool. And then with the Johnny and Moira, Johnny, definitely I think Funko nailed this one for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to watch the show. Johnny might be one that I pick up for sure. Possibly David as well. But again, I'm gonna have to start watching the show in order for me to fully, get everything that is involved with the show. Moving on to the Happy Gilmore and the Billy Madison pops. These ones are pretty great as well. Again, like Dylan said, you have Happy Gilmore with the hockey stick that's supposed to be a golf club. And then Billy Madison, of course, with the white sweater and work boots. these are pretty cool. Will I be... Well, of course I can't pick them up because they're in the States because they were Funko Shop exclusives.
But if you had a choice and you were able to get some Funko Shop, would you get these?
I'd probably get the Billy Madison one for sure. Just because I do have both the common and the flocked penguin from Billy Madison right now. So, of course, I'd have to continue with that set. And moving on, I believe the order that it was Finley and then Jiraiya. Can't remember, but you're right with the toad. It does look pretty cool with all the details around the, let's say, skin or body of the toad. That looks cool. And then Jiraiya, I'm sorry if I'm botching the name of this character. Haven't watched Naruto, but this one looks pretty detailed as well. Now with Finley, I love this, and the fact that it was, of course, from Ireland, and the fact that it was announced and released on my birthday as a Funko Shop exclusive. That is all pretty cool. If I had the chance to get this one, I definitely would, just because I am part Irish. But then, of course, like Dylan said, with the Canadian one that's eventually going to be coming out, we'll hopefully get that one if I had the chance as well.
All right, so that's going to be the end of this week's podcast. Next week's edition of a Funko Podcast, there's going to be 2 huge segments that are going to be happening. One is being the WonderCon exclusives, which you guys probably know all the announcements at this point when you listen to this podcast. But another huge segment, and it's already crazy that we're at this time of the podcast already, it will be the top 10 Funko Pops of March 2020, which usually on your channel you do a video like that every month. Which, are you skipping out on this, or are you going to join in on a top 10 list?
I think I'll join in on the top 10 list.
Alrighty.
I know that on my channel I haven't done one for February yet, but I do have some pops listed out for that, so eventually stay tuned on to my channel for that.
If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you smash that like button to let us know that you're enjoying the content that's being provided to you on this channel, including this podcast. Comment in the comments section below on what your favorite pops from this week were. Did you enjoy the Schitt's Creek pops? Did you not? Let us know. Did you enjoy Robbie on this podcast for the time being? Let us know. And maybe if you want to, wish MD some good luck in the comments section below. That would be greatly appreciated. And press that subscribe button for more content like this podcast and other videos we do on this channel in the future. And press the little bell beside it to be notified of when that future content gets released. But anyways, thank you all for listening to this podcast, and see you guys next week. 1, 2, 3, I'm out of here.
Keep on popping.